Camaraderie is a big part of the big deer experience. You know, big deer is Willie Smith and his dad. They hunt out in Kansas every year. Well, this season they got a little challenge. They lost one of their best spots, and they are scrambling to find some new ground. But hey, it's not always supposed to be easy. It's going to be a tough hunt. We got father and son hunting new ground right now on big deer. I started hunting whitetails with my dad more than 30 years ago. When I see a buck sneaking through the woods, I still get as excited as I did back then. No animal is as beautiful, mysterious, and challenging as an old whitetail buck. The longer you hunt him, the deeper he gets in your mind and blood. I'm Mike Hanback, and I live to hunt big deer.
I look forward to every year coming to Kansas to hunt with my dad, whether it's pheasants, ducks, and the last couple of years, deer. I just enjoy hunting with him. He does a great job setting up the properties, get to meet some of his friends that he's gotten to meet throughout the years in Kansas, and it's just one of my favorite times of the year, hunting with my dad. Looking forward to this hunt for a long time.
It's not what we envisioned a few weeks ago before we got kind of locked out of the place we were planning to hunt, but I'm pretty excited about this new area. My friend Rod Meyer has 2,500 to 3,000 acres lined up.
Well, I'm anxious to see the property. I know we're going to go out tomorrow and scout it out. Curious about the quality of deer. I don't think it's ever really been managed at all, and Rod's not there as an outfitter. He's just given us access to the land. I can assure you we're going to have a good time.
Yeah, that'll be the case.
Tomorrow's going to be a really interesting day, and frankly a pretty enjoyable day that we're going to go spend the early morning with Rod, scouting the properties, checking them out. And my hope is tomorrow we're going to get out early enough that we might be able to see some of that natural movement from the feed to the bed and have a good idea on what to do on opening morning.
270 yards. Does that look about right?
Yeah. I think that one on the left's a little buck.
Yeah, that one just staring at us straight is a little buck. Well, they're watching that coyote, aren't they?
Then we're going to come back, get the guns sighted in, take our time, really get our gear spread out for that opening morning. Make sure that the gun's dialed in, ready for that shot. Fire in the hole. Good group, just high. That's what we're out here for.
I've always felt like this is not the most fun part of the pre-hunt or the hunt, but it's an important part that you just simply have to do every year and sometimes several times a year.
Every time you travel, you gotta double check. You just never know.
Looks good.
Well, it took a while, but finally got her dialed in. We got a little bit of a south wind, so we're gonna have Rod take us in, drop us off at some hay bales. There's a creek bottom with some good open spots. Hopefully see a little bit of movement coming back from feed. We're probably 10, 15 minutes later than we wanted to be this morning, first morning, getting organized. We'll sit there for a little bit. My dad's gonna go with Rod, and then maybe do a little bit of a push up the creek bed after about an hour, hour and a half if nothing's moving, and once they settle down for the day. So we'll get moving, go set up on those hay bales. We got a little buck and two does over here, a couple hundred yards away. He's just a little forky. But to the south of us, there's a couple of winter wheat fields, and that's kind of where we expect some of the movement to come from, and maybe along this creek bottom. Those deer are blowing. I can't figure out why. There's a bobcat over there. That's what those deer are blowing at. There's a bobcat. You don't see bobcats very often. That's pretty cool. I don't even know how far that sound's carrying in this wind. Hopefully it's going up into that draw a little bit. Just get about curious. There's a doe and a fawn over there. She's got us pegged. That sun's coming right at us. She's blowing. There's about 4 does and a big forky back in the trees that are listening to her. She's been standing there for 2 or 3 minutes. Try not to move much, just to not have her blow out of here. But she's sounding the alarm to every deer around. Finally, there she goes. Those other deer are leaving with her. At least it wasn't a big shooter buck.
You know, a lot of times you're gonna have to deal with an old sentry doe like that. I mean, she is the toughest challenge in the woods. If a doe like that comes in and spots you and pegs you, you have got to make all the right moves, man. You got to be still, and you got to be calm, and you got to keep your eye on her, because I can guarantee you, every deer in that patch of woods has got his eye on her. They're taking cues off her. They're reading her body language, listening for her to snort, and every buck that's skirting back in the bush is waiting for that sentry doe to tell them what's up. So if you can outfox her and outweight her and get her to ease off, the hunt is still on for a big deer. You might get a shot at a big buck. Coming up on Big Deer.
Here comes some deer. A couple of bucks.
Big Deer is presented by Cabela's, world's foremost outfitter. Also brought to you by Trigicon, brilliant aiming solutions. Remington, America's oldest gun maker. And Supercharged Scent Killer by Wildlife Research Center, beyond 99%.
You know, Kansas, one of the top big buck states in the nation. Everybody knows that. I saw an incredible statistic here on the web the other day that over the last 10 years, Kansas is number 8 in the nation for record buck entries. Boone and Crockett, 181. That's typicals and non-typicals. And boy, I've blogged about a ton of Kansas deer over the years. Some amazing giants come out of Kansas every year. 192-inch buck I had on the blog here just last year. Incredible, beautiful deer, world class anywhere in America. Willie's gonna go out. He's hunting a piece of property with his dad, and I think they're gonna try to get into some bucks. But when you go to a place like this, one of the top states in the nation, you don't know what you're gonna find. You might shoot a great 140-inch deer or an incredible 200-inch deer, like this 192-inch buck I got there. And here's my buddy BJ Clement, shot a 181-inch monster with his bow in December. Amazing. You just never know what's gonna happen. One thing's for certain, to shoot a big deer, you've got to put yourself in a place that has big deer, and hopefully Willie can get it done.
I've been sitting here for about an hour and a half, and things seem to have settled down, so I think my dad's actually gonna walk the creek from the east, and Rod's gonna walk the creek from the west. We'll see if they push any deer our way. We got, I think, what looks like a great setup. Big open area, whether the deer will cross it or not. But some good little pinch points, and watch them work up and down the creek bottom. So I'll get set up in case they kick something our way. Here comes some deer. Couple of bucks. One's pretty wide, he's not very tall. Another one looks a little broken up. Neither one of them are bucks I think I'll shoot, but boy, give them another year, I think they'll be great. Here comes a different buck over here from the east. We haven't seen him yet. He's taller, he's an 8-point. But again, needs at least another year on him. He's got good genetics. Not real wide, but tall. His G2s look pretty good. What's that? There's a coyote. Oh, and I see my dad in there too. That coyote ran 50 yards from my dad. Either he didn't see him or didn't want to shoot to potentially bust a deer opportunity. There goes the second coyote. pretty good amount of game working through there. Fair number of bucks, a lot of deer in general. Here comes Dad and Rod. We'll walk back to the truck and make a game plan for the middle part of the day. Got about an hour and a half left of light, so we're gonna try a new property, sneak down here, try to get as much of a vantage point as possible. See if we can see the deer heading out to feed. Got some cedars and a pretty good bedding area. It looks like we don't know this part of the property very well. Haven't been down in there, so it's a bit of a scouting trip too. I think if we just get down over this hill, we'll be able to watch the movement. Wind will be in our face. We're not sure where they go to feed here. There's some winter wheat fields out this way and some further out south, so just head over there, see what we can see, and hopefully we'll catch a big buck moving before dark. Had a gorgeous sunset tonight. I haven't seen an orange like that in a long, long time. It was really pretty. Well, we didn't kill any deer today, but we had a great time out here. We saw a lot of wildlife. Getting to hunt with my dad's always a treat anyway, so saw bobcat, coyotes, lots of deer. We probably saw 10 different bucks, and a couple of them pretty nice bucks. So just get you a little bit more fired up for tomorrow. And wind's supposed to change, come out of the north, so we may hunt a couple of these properties a little bit differently tomorrow. Rod won't be joining us tomorrow, so it'll just be my dad and me. And we'll change things up a little bit. We'll talk about it when we get back.
Hey, Will, there's a buck right there. I think it's a shooter. Check it out. That's a big 8-point. That definitely is a shooter. Yeah. He's got to come out by that green patch, otherwise I don't have a shot. If he comes out there, I've got him. It's just over 100 yards there. There's a buck right there. I think it's a shooter. That's a big 8-point. That definitely is a shooter. Yeah. He's got to come out by that green patch, otherwise I don't have a shot. If he comes out there, I've got him. Try your deer call. He's hung up there. You heard that? He's going the other way. He took off about where those turkeys were earlier. That's too bad. I wonder what spooked him. Well, maybe you called in another one. Keep your eye peeled. It was a nice buck. It was a nice buck. It's the best one we've seen.
Haven't seen much deer movement for probably an hour and a half. I think we're gonna call this set up and maybe do a push in another property. What do you think, Dad?
I think that's a good plan. It's just that, in this wind, I think they're going to bed down, and you're really going to have to push them out of their beds. They're not going to get up and walk around on their own. They don't like the wind any better than we do.
I think we're better served trying to get them moving around a little bit. And with only two of us, it's a little tough.
I need to move around a little bit too.
Okay. Well, let's break this blind down, head back to the truck, and figure out what we want to do.
Sounds like a good plan.
This might be kind of a fun drive. ought to be about perfect just on this tree. The wind's perfect. If it works the way we expect, the deer come this way. Anything that sneaks out this way, I'll have a pretty good shot. And anything that comes out that way to go east, and certainly if they want to stay in this bottom. It's about 15 minutes, so my dad ought to start walking, so we could start seeing deer right now till the time he gets here. Now the waiting begins.
You know, we don't drive deer, we just move deer, nudge them. You know, one driver preferably, 2 at the max. You kind of ease into a draw or patch of timber where you think some bucks might be bedded for the day, and you actually let your scent, the driver lets the scent drift in there, so you want the wind at your back when you're driving and moving deer. Let that scent drift in there, and then just kind of walk through the bottom, walk through that patch of woods where the deer might be. Natural movement, not making a lot of noise, just letting your scent blow through there and your movement and all that. The key is you want any buck that's bedded there to get up and move out. You don't want him screaming out, moving too fast, spook too hard. You want him to kind of mill out. If your shooter's in the right spot on the other end, you might kill a nice buck.
There's a little doe feeding right over there. I don't think my dad pushed her out. I think she just came out on her own. Here comes a couple of deer. There's a buck behind. It's a pretty good buck. He's a small 10. Here he comes. Here he comes. Here comes a couple of deer. There's a buck behind. It's a pretty good buck. He's a small 10. Here he comes. Here he comes. I'm not gonna take him, he's too small. Man, if one of those was just a bigger buck, it worked out perfectly. They came by us at 25, 30 yards. There's a buck up there in the trees. There's a better buck. If he comes in, I'm gonna take him. Here he comes, here he comes. I'm gonna take him. Go down, go down. Yes, there he went. I think he fell in that creek. He may not be a giant, but he is a good looking buck. Tall tines. He stopped perfectly, probably 60 yards away. Slight quartering, just put it right on the shoulder, and 7mm mag did its trick. My dad's gonna be so excited. Obviously he heard the shot, and to know that a drive worked for him. He loves driving deer.
Don't tell me no deer came out.
A couple came out.
That's the best deer country I've seen of what we've hunted. I mean, that was unbelievable.
Well, I'll tell you what, if we both were standing here, we have 2 dead deer. As it is, we have 1.
You shot?
Yeah.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Where is it?
Well, we gotta go find it.
Well, let's go. You kidding me?
No?
Why didn't I hear a shot?
Well, we wondered the way you kept pushing that maybe you didn't hear the shot, which was surprising because this thing barks. Way to go, it came together like a dream. You gotta, up, there it is.
Oh, I see antlers. I see nice antlers.
Yeah. Real tight here. I mean, it just almost comes back in on itself. Probably 9, maybe 10-inch G2s and good G3s. As I said, I know there's bigger bucks around here, but I saw him and I said,
yeah,
this is a good mature buck.
Don't pass that one.
Good mature deer. Beautiful coat. You know, anytime you shoot an animal, unless you really have time to glass it, you never really know exactly what you've shot, especially in a drive situation where you kind of making a game time decision. It was really special for me to wait for my dad to arrive before we walked up on the deer. Just enjoy the moment, congratulate each other, and really be thrilled at the quality of deer that we took. It's not always just about the shooting and the killing of the deer, it's the whole camaraderie and just being able to share all that time with my dad. As soon as every hunt's done, you start looking forward to next year, and I'm doing that right now to hunt Kansas again.
You know, I encourage you to get out there this year and hunt with people that you love and respect. You know, you're going to have a good time every day, and on those glorious days when one of you shoots a buck, it's going to be very, very special. You know, that camaraderie, that love and respect for the game, it's a big part of the Big Deer Way.
Big Deer is presented by Cabela's, world's foremost outfitter. Also brought to you by Supercharged Scent Killer by Wildlife Research Center, beyond 99%. And Cabela's Dangerous Hunts, dangerous turns deadlier.
Dad, I couldn't find any twine handy, so I'm gonna use this little cedar branch I stripped free.
We better check that when we get back to the truck. You suppose that's what the Indians use when they tag their animals?
Yeah, but I don't think the Indians back then had the tags that had the pre-punched holes.
Oh, they probably did.
So they may have used a little leather strap or something.